Welcome to the ACI-LAC and StreamSo webinar. Our webinar called Safety and Security in Airports in the Drone Era, Emerging Threats and Solutions for Airports. In today's webinar, we have the pleasure to count with our speakers, Maria Andrea Pico, and from StreamSo, Brandon Youngblood, co-founder and CEO from Drone Security Services, Martin Hasberg, commercial director from My Defense US, and Slyby Stephen, commercial global director from Systems and Mission of Therma. Before we start, as you are aware, we would like to share with you that we have simultaneous interpretation. You can select the Spanish or English channel in the Zoom menu where you have the globe icon. Besides, if you don't want to hear the original audio, please click on mute original audio. As you can recall from other webinars, the chat function is disabled. We will have a poll between the presentations. But if you have additional questions, please send it to us at info@aci-lac.io. So now I would like to give the floor to Maria Andrea.
Thank you, Carla. So, good morning, everyone. My name is Andrea Pico, Safety and Security Lead at StreamSo for Latin America and the Caribbean. It's an honor to host this session with these three distinguished speakers who are leading global efforts in drone detection, contour measurements, and airport protection strategies. As drone-related threats continue to evolve, safeguarding sensitive infrastructure has become a shared priority across both civilian and military sectors. Today's discussion aims to provide insights, real-world applications, and technology-driven solutions to these challenges. Thank you for joining us, and let's begin with our first speaker.
So we have Brandon Youngblood.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for allowing me to speak today. Again, my name is Brandon Youngblood. I'm a former Federal Aviation Administration manager who managed the Drone Security and Counter Drone Coordination Office among all the federal security agencies here in the United States. So again, thank you for having me here. Next slide, please. So within the US, we categorize drones really into four kind of criteria. Largely, we like to get to the bottom right criteria, which is compliant drone operations that are, following all the regulations and the laws that the federal government requires for safe and secure drone operations. Unfortunately, we have a mixture of other activities going on in the United States, and those are non-compliant drone operations, and we categorize into those three separate areas. So we have what we call careless and crewless operators. These are folks who generally are not aware of the regulations that they have to comply with in order
no conocen las regulaciones.
So as you can see on the bottom left, we have quite a few of drone overflights over large sporting events, which can house anywhere between 50 to 150,000 people in the stadiums. And that's a big problem. It's a safety risk. And so we have to shut down that sporting event temporarily while that drone is in the airspace for safety reasons. This is a major concern for us with the upcoming FIFA Copa and World Cup games this year and next year. And then as we're hosting the 2028 or until 2028 Olympics in Los Angeles. So the other piece of this is the careless operators, which are aware of the regulations, but do what they do anyways. And this is a major problem. And as you can see there, that's the United States Navy's Blue Angels air demonstration team. And this is a drone flying very close in Chicago, Illinois, to try and get a cool picture. Now, this operator obviously was in probably about 50 to 100 feet of these aircraft, and if one of those this formation of aircraft had dipped down just a little bit, they could have sucked that drone in the intake and taken that aircraft down in a very densely populated urban environment. And that is incredibly dangerous and something that we are trying really hard to educate and get more compliance operators. And then there are those who are not going to comply no matter what because they're supporting some type of illicit activity, primarily drug smuggling here in the United States. One of the biggest other factors that we have are our prison systems, smuggling contraband into our prisons and dropping those in prison yards, and prisoners use those for whatever reasons. One of the most tragic stories I've heard is a cell phone was dropped into a prison yard, and that those prisoners used that cell phone to coordinate an escape from the prison. Two prisoners, like I said, escaped, and they made it to a house, and unfortunately, two elderly people were murdered because of that escape, all from a drone activity. Again, there's a lot of other use cases for illicit drone activity, and it's something that we're monitoring very closely. Next slide, please. So specific to airports, we're having a rash of drone sightings and reports through airports. So pilots are required to report any type of drone sighting that is deemed unsafe through what we call an MOR, or mandatory occurrence report. And so this data on the right side of the slide, you can see the numbers that the FAA releases. These numbers have to be taken with a little bit of a grain of salt because there could be misidentifications, there could be over-reporting, but there also could be a lot of unknown drones that are flying in the area. They just weren't seen. So this is the only data that's really available. It's been captured for the last 5 years now, or 4 years. And as you can see, we had a significant uptick in 2021. And there's usually an uptick of sightings during this quarter that we're in right now, which are the summer months. People are outside flying drones and doing their thing. So that data is available. And if you can see on the bottom left, just a couple of news reportings. We had a drone impact a Super Scooper for the Los Angeles wildfire fighting efforts that were going on, and that took that plane out of action. Unfortunately, as one of the higher payload for that. So it caused an untold amount of additional damage to those wildfires because that aircraft was out of action. And again, it's just from the reporting perspective, we have a gap in how we report these activities. And again, it's because we don't have a mechanism to report around critical infrastructure sites, borders, and some of the other areas. So this is really the only data that we have available. Next slide, please. So in the United States, this is a little bit tricky because of our legal framework around domestic CUAS law. So in the United States, it is illegal to shoot down a drone. It's a federal offense. It's within our federal criminal code, which is Title 18, 32, and then 49 USC 46502, which is anti-piracy act. So you can't hijack a drone. And the reason why this is because drone, as legally defined, is considered an aircraft. So until that legal definition of what an aircraft is changes, these laws apply, and nobody can go out there and just shoot down a drone. You're breaking multiple federal laws inside the United States. So in 2016 and 2018, our U.S. Congress passed 3 laws to give the Department of Defense, our military organization, a Department of Energy, which oversights all of our nuclear power and energy production facilities, as well as our Department of Justice and Homeland Security, the authority to take action against drones under certain circumstances. So the laws basically say if you take a drone down under those circumstances, those other federal criminal statutes don't apply to you, and you are provided relief from them. So that is the mechanism within the United States, at least from a legal framework perspective, how counter UAS mission is able to occur. This, again, is only at a federal level. When you come down to the state and county and sub-government law enforcement entities, they do not have the legal ability to provide that type of protection. Next slide, please. Oh. So in order to address that gap of security coverage, there are many proposed legislative vehicles going through our congressional mechanism right now to try and figure this out. As you can see here is a long list of different ideas from our various representatives in our Congress on how to handle this. However, what you can see is a long list. So that means that our congressional body doesn't necessarily know how to tackle this problem at this time. There are many different types of opinions. Some are a very slow and methodical approach. Some are very aggressive. And if a drone is flying over my house at 200 feet, I have all the legal authority in the world to shoot it down with a shotgun. That's one of the proposals, and everything in between. So trying to figure out how to address this issue is an ongoing thing. And the industry has been advocating to our various representatives in different ways on how we think it should happen. But again, this is part of the process to extend those authorities and give our local law enforcement more ability to respond when needed. Next slide, please. So within that legal framework, there still are a lot of things that can happen. And this is something I've been working with airports specifically on, is adjusting their security policy. So every airport has a security policy that says we need a perimeter fence line. We need various different checks that our security personnel are able to do. You can carry a gun. This is how you respond to different procedures, emergency actions. Here are the doors that are secure, all that stuff. All those directives are housed in your security policy. So one of the major gaps we found in the policy is there's nothing for drone responses. If a drone incurs inside of your airport, what do you do? What does your security folks do? What type of technology can you deploy in order to even know that a drone is being detected in that site? Are there self-defense mechanisms that can be taken to shoot a drone down if it is deemed a no-kidding threat and it has to be removed immediately? So those types of policy things is something that my organization specifically helps other organizations develop and implement and train on and exercise. So all of that is kind of mixed in here. I think I'm running a little bit short on time, so I don't want to get into each individual one. However, there are a lot of things that can be happening today, and it all is derived out of your security policy. Next slide, please. So two of those policy implementations and recommendations I'm going to make right now. One is airspace awareness. So there's so much different UAS detection or drone detection technology out there to build what we call on this side airspace awareness, or a common operating picture. So I personally recommend this system, which is called Unify C2. It is a company here in the United States, and it is a sensor agnostic common operating picture that can pull in data from various different sources. And what it does is it uses some advanced AI and ML on the back end to fuse those data sources into a single track. And then based on some additional information, they can pull serial numbers from those specific drones and create a historical record of where those drones flew, if it violated any types of regulations or laws of the given nation, and a bunch of other information that may be pertinent to the security personnel, wherever the location may be. In addition to drone detections, there's also plugins for normal commercial aviation tracks. So in the United States, we use ADS-B. So those ADS-B feed or transponder feeds can be fed into here as well. So if you see some lights in the night sky, you can look at this and say, oh, that's not a drone, that's United Flight or American Flight or whatever, 576 out of LaGuardia to Rio. So there's different things that we can do with this. It's a fantastic platform, just again, for general awareness of what is happening inside of your airspace. Next slide, please. And then again, the other thing, and I know I'm hawking some products here, and I apologize, but again, I really believe in these. The other one is a self-defense tool that has very low potential collateral effects. This specific one is called from a company called Robo Rounds, and they have these little things called tanglers that are shot out of paintball guns. What they do is they shoot up and they foul up the props of a drone. The actual projectile only goes about 350 feet, so it's not like a fully munition that can go miles into the sky, and you don't know what is beyond there, so you're not potentially hitting other commercial aircraft or people or anything else. is again very low collateral, and it's only used for a self-defense purpose. That is close in, and it's kind of one of those last-ditch effort things like, hey, we have to take this down. This is posing an immediate threat to people, property, or assets, or anything else, and we have to react. So it gives some type of defense mechanism in the case that you are under a direct threat. Next slide, please. These are some resources that the U.S. government provides through our Cyber Infrastructure and Security Agency, be air aware. And there's a lot of recommendations that you can find in there. There's also a drone cybersecurity threat recommendations to apply within your federal security policy. The second major bullet there may not necessarily apply to Latin American and Caribbean nations, but it's our legal framework for counter UAS and UAS detection inside the United States. And then additionally, there's the Federal Aviation Administration has a program called the Law Enforcement Assistance Program, and these are FAA aviation employees who directly work with law enforcement entities to provide a conduit inside of the FAA for law enforcement type purposes. Next slide, please. So when I left the federal government, my main goal was to bring all of this knowledge that's out there and combine them into really a professional drone security ecosystem, because this doesn't really exist. As this is an emerging threat, it's very new, it's evolving very quickly. So I partnered with all of these companies, a lot of university institutions, professional trade associations, like ACI and the Nuclear Energy Institute here in the United States, even AFPM, which is the American Fuel and Petrochemical Manufacturers Association. I work with many different counter UAS equipment manufacturers and regulators and all these types of things. So if I don't have an answer for anybody, I can certainly find that answer through the network of folks that I know. Next slide, please. And this is my favorite slide, just a bunch of guys shooting drones with shotguns. It's always a fun time, but if you have any questions, there's my email. Please feel free to contact me at any time, and I'm always available. Thank you.
Thank you. We now have the poll. You can answer it, and I will end it in a couple of minutes. We will continue with our presentation. Now we have Slivy Stefan.
Thank you so much. My name is Slivy Stefan. I'm Business Development Director working for Thermo. So today I'm going to discuss, I think Brandon gave a good overview about the drone, but I'm going to focus on a complete comprehensive security solution for airport that is from ground to sky. As you all know, airport is a very important asset in any country because it's a gateway for the country. It's very highly visible. It's a place where anything could go really dramatic if there is any incident. So this is why any solution that addresses security within the airport need to take all this into consideration. Next, please. So when we have developed our solution, we look at what are the major challenges when it comes to airport security. So typically, any security operator inside the airport would like to maintain and keep overview in all situations, regardless of the weather condition. Airport security is a very demanding task because it's a 24/7. Human also are not really fit for security job because, in a duty of 8 hours, the operator will not be able to perform his duty when he started the work. And also, we all know that you have expert people who are in the operation room, but these people will not stay forever, and you have always to deal with new people that are coming who doesn't really know the airport. Short reaction time is also one of the major challenges because a lot of the incidents are detected, but they are detected too late that you're not able to contain the situation. There is reduced visibility, so you have to make sure that whatever sensor you use are not affected. Also, nowadays, you have various sensors, which will make even the things more complicated for the operator to be able to digest all this. The drone, it's a new threat that is coming to the picture. So even if you have some kind of security, that's something security doesn't really cope for the drone which come by air. And short of expert, you don't always have the expert in your operation room. Next, please. So in addition to the standard security challenges, you have the safety aspect whenever you talk to drones. So in the drone, you have another aspect, which is the flight corridor. So even if you don't have a real threat, any drone that is flying within the flight corridor could be a threat to the airport. So that's something that is, in addition to security, something that needs to be very well monitored. Low false alarm rate, because you cannot tolerate to close the airport if you're not 100% sure that you have a drone situation. Any system that you would like to deploy need to take into consideration all the other navigate systems that are in the airport. So coexistence, interference is something also extremely important. And of course, having the right tool to be able to monitor and notify the appropriate stakeholder is also important. Next, please. So any solution that you would like to pick for your airport need to take into consideration that it provides full overview of your security sphere in all weather conditions. It should have an unsurpassed user experience, so it should be a system easy to use, easy to learn, easy to train, and it should have flexible security framework, because every airport, yes, all airports, you have land side, air side, you need to take this into consideration. You have a lot of common challenges, but also some airports are close to the sea. Some other airport has some other environment. So the solution need to be adaptable to take this into consideration. Next, please. And this is our value proposition, which is a command and control system. We call it T-React SIP. This is a C2 system that will integrate and fuse multiple sensors ranging from radars, short, long-range cameras. Even if you have access to sea, you can have sonar, you can have ADS-B, you can have AIS. All this information is fused, summarized, represented on one of the screen. We have a very diverse rule engine that will allow you to differentiate normal behavior from suspicious behavior, and only when there is there is a movement that is categorized under suspicious, you have a touch screen where you have a notified, so it's target intervention. You don't need an operator to always stay behind the screen and looking at the video, and he will be notified about the incident. All what he need to do is just to click on it, and the system take over and control all available PTZ cameras and sensors to be able to track that intrusion. Next, please. So, as I said, operational picture, the solution provides you a complete coverage for the site and surrounding. This is done by fusing the sensor like radars, like I said, cameras, and it fuses this data. So if you have, for example, one drone or one person trying to intrude detected by a camera, detected by a radar, you will be only seeing one track. So one physical object, one representation. The solution is all-weather capable because we utilize technologies that can detect, even if you have 16 mm rain, it will still have more than 95% detection. Next, please. To be able to have this operational picture, full overview of what's happening, what we do, we utilize radars. So the different way between the traditional way of protecting an airport or the wide area surveillance that we use. So the traditional way, you have a fence around your airport. What you do, you install cameras along the fence. The weakness of that solution that you will only know about an intrusion that is happening only a couple of meters away from the fence, so you don't have early detection. If the intruder managed to cross the fence, you lose him inside your airport, so you don't know what's happening. A smart guy will know how to disable one camera, and he know that he has a blind spot where he can come in. However, the wide area solution that use combination of sensors, our radar, which I will be explaining later on, could have detection way beyond the fence. Next, please. And you can have virtual fences. So you will be able, like for example, in this airport, you will be able, if you have open areas, to detect suspicious behavior way beyond your fence, even if the guy, so you have enough time to react, send the patrol to be able to be in the scene before the intruder come in. And even if he managed to come in, using our radar, which provides 360-degree, will be able still to track him within your airport, as long as there is line of sight. Next, please. So in order to do that, we, as Therma, we are a radar manufacturer. So we utilize several kind of radars. The 1002, this is a radar that can provide detection on land and on surface water. It's a 360-degree. It can detect fast and slow-moving objects. So even if you have a car or an airplane moving very quickly, we can still detect it. You can detect more than 100 simultaneous targets at the same time. Here you have a photo of the radar. Everything is built in. So you have the antenna, the transceiver, and the tracker all built in within the dome. It could be collocated like we have it here with the camera, and it could be, the cameras could be anywhere in the field, doesn't have to be in the same location of the radar. Next, please. That radar can detect, detection range is 5.5 kilometers for a walking person, and it can reach up to 10 kilometers if we're talking about a big vehicle. It's an IP65. It can work in very harsh weather condition from -25 to +60. All what you need is just regular power and Ethernet connection, and the radar will be up and running. Next, please. It's a Ku band radar, and it just transmits 8 watts, so it's really safe to have it within your airport. It doesn't interfere with any of the navigate systems. We have another radar, which we call it Sphera. Sphera, it is specialized drone radar. So that radar, what's special in it, regardless of whatever drone technology is being used, that radar will still be able to detect it. So if it's an RF, if it is, for example, GPS driven, or even using AI, still the radar will be able to detect it. It's easy mobile, it's all modular. It provides superior detection, long range detection, so it's very much appropriate if you want to detect 5 kilometers on the approach line. That will be also be able to be used. That radar is equipped with AI-based classification, so the radar will provide not only detection but also classification on the target. Of course, that radar form part of a complete sensor solution where we fuse multiple sensors, which I will discuss in the coming slide. Next, please. So that radar, it's a 3D radar. It uses a Doppler radar and advanced digital beamforming. It's an X band. It can do instrumental range of 10 kilometers. Depending on the target size, if we are talking NATO Mini, we can do detection at 6 kilometers and classification at 3. If we are talking about a micro, we can detect at 3.1 kilometers and classification up to 1.9 kilometers. It has a very high update rate. So regardless how fast the drone is flying, you have a very good tracking of the drone. It can track multiple up to 250 drones. So even if you have swarm, you can still detect it. It's lightweight. It's just 40 kg and it's IP66. Next, please. So that's the envelope. Of course, depending on the drone size, we have different ranges. I said about the first 2 categories, but if you have a DJI matrix, you can detect it, which is around 5 kg. We can detect it up to 6 kilometers. And of course, if you have some application or some threat that are larger, like fixed wing, we can reach up to 10 kilometers of detection. Next, please. So as I said, it has superior detection. It's a 360-degree with extended coverage, long-range detection, which will allow enough time to react. So that's something about the short reaction time. To be able to contain a situation, you need to be aware that you have a drone even 4 or 5 kilometers away that is coming toward the airport. So that's something that's extremely important. Target classification, which is also extremely important whenever we talk radars. So we use AI-based classification using microdoppler and kinetic at the same time to minimize the false alarms. We can, of course, as I said earlier, even handle drone swarm, and we have very minimal electromagnetic interference, which is very much suitable for an airport environment. Next, please. These are some project reference sites. Next. So these are some photos from some of our implementation around the world. Next, please. Also, next. So this is a snapshot about our references. Terma, we have multiple solutions ranging from naval system to airport system. It's very important to note, some of you already know us because we are very well known for the surface movement radar. We have references in more than 240 plus airports around the world. So we really understand airport environment. We are already there. We have a very long experience handling airport solutions. Next, please. So that's very important. The sensors is something very important, but also equally important is the user experience. So the solution is designed around simplicity. It's very easy to use, very easy to learn. It's highly automated. The operator doesn't have to really operate the system. We try to free the operator from the operation work and let him focus more on his actual task, which is the security aspect, evaluate the solution, the situation, and be able to guide his site team to be able to intervene. Next, please. So what we provide to the operator, we have a design philosophy of 4 screens. So we have My Monitor, which is a screen which we leave it usually manually for the operator to put whatever camera he would always like to keep an eye on. The middle screen we call a picture of activity. This is where you have the summary of all the fuse data. So all the information collected by thermal sensors, by radars, for example, integrating RF sensors for drone, all this is fused in the background and is displayed on this picture of activity. If there is any of these track violate any of the predefined rules, which we have a big library, as I said, then you will directly get an alarm. The alarm will be displayed on the event panel, which is a touch screen. So all what the operator need to do is just to click on that screen. Regardless if the operator click or doesn't handle the event, directly the system will be able to know which camera has the best view of that location and start tracking that. It could be someone walking, it could be a car, it could be a drone. And then when he handles the event on the spot view screen, he will be able to track lively that specific event. This system can handle multiple simultaneous events at the same time, and the operator can easily toggle between different events by just touching on the event panel. If he likes to take manual control, we always give him a joystick to do that. However, he doesn't have to hold the joystick. The system operates by itself. It's fully automated. Next, please. So this is an example of a picture of activity. So of course, it looks nicer, but I had to do it to be able to squeeze it within that screen. So this is the operator, of course, he can zoom, but he will have the complete coverage of what's happening around him. He can see all the tracks that are moving. He will be able to define several zones. So for example, here we have defined a no-fly zone. So any drone that come into that specific area, it will be detected and there will be an alarm generated. On the ground, we have decided to create an early zone, which could be located, for example, 500 meters away from the fence, in some areas closer to the fence, where it will give initial notification that there is some movement that you need to look at. And there is high restricted area, which we could be directly near the fence. It could be inside the airport, as long as outside the airport, if you are suspicious about some activities that are also happening with some people from inside the airport. So this is fully flexible. Of course, we sit with you, which are the owner of the airport, which understand best the airport, and we will be able to design the different scenarios where you'd like to have an alarm. Next, please. So this is a snapshot of one of the airport that we are protecting. As you can see, you have people walking along the fence. They are being detected by both the radar and the thermal cameras. All this is fused. The operator doesn't have to really worry who's detecting what. You can see the tracks. Directly, the system will be picking the cameras and you have the alarms shown on the event panel. In the coming slide, next please, I will be showing you a video. Of course, these videos are extracted from a demo site where they are allow us to take recording. So here you have a case where a car is entering from no entry area. Directly, an alarm is generated. The system picks the camera that has the best view. As you can see, all the slew to queue, pan tilt, zoom, focus is all being done by the system. All this tracking that you see and the smooth handing over from a camera to camera, all this is done automatically without any operator intervention. All what the operator need to do is to focus on what's happening and be able to guide his team. Even if the car try to hide behind the fence or in any places, because we are fusing multiple sensors, he will not be able to escape. The system will always be able to track it. It's worth mentioning that this system has a military background core. So all the data fusion and the integration we do is a military grade one. So as you can see how we handle the cameras, which I will show in the next slide, we integrate at the camera level, at the firmware level of the camera, which will allow us to have a proper tracking of any intruder. The coming video, it's an aircraft that is trying to take off, and in this video we can show you how we will be able to track a very fast moving target. And even whenever you escalate the situation, more than one camera will be deployed on that target, as you can see, and you can have a view on that target from multiple angles. In this video, we've combined all the 4 screens into one to be able to see all of them. So you have the touch screen that is shown on the left corner, and you have the picture of activity. This is another side. It's a combination of land and sea. Here you will be able to see how you can handle multiple simultaneous events at the same time. So you have a case where there is a car that is trying to enter from a no entry area. Directly is being detected. Alarm is reflected on the event panel, and the system will start to track the car. Shortly, the car will try to hide behind the trees, but the system is smart enough to know that it will need to move to the next camera. Now, in a couple of seconds, the car stops and someone steps down from the car. So let's say you're in the airport, there is a car coming with suspicious behavior, stop, and then someone step down from the car. How you will be able to track it? You will continue with the person or you will move to the car. That's something that's not easy to decide. With our solution, you don't have to worry about it because you already predefined all the critical areas, all the areas where it is not allowed to enter. So the system, as soon as it detects that walking person getting close to the fence, in this case, directly you will get an event, and some other cameras will be deployed on that walking person, and you will be able to track that person by just clicking on the event that is being created. Because that person gets close to the fence, which is more critical, you have more than one camera that is tracking the event. It's worth mentioning that all what you see here, it could be a replay mode. So all the 4 screens, if you decide to do further investigation, you can go back at any time. Like you go back in time, all the concurrent event will be shown, and you will be able to investigate, regardless what the operator was looking at. You will be able to reevaluate the situation, click on the different event, be able to know when the car was in this location, what was the guy doing at that specific location. We can also provide the history track. So whenever an event is coming, you know exactly where it came from, and it shows the dots behind it. Because of limited time, I think we're going to move from the video. But of course, later on, we can show you. We have a lot of zones and rules, no stop. So if you have a fence, a road near the fence, only when the car stops, this is only when you get an alarm. As long as the car is moving, like this video here, no problem, you don't have an alarm. As soon as it stops, like you can see now, directly an alarm is generated, and you will get a view of the car, and you see the dots here. This is the history track. This is also applicable for drone. So you know where this car came from earlier, and if the tracks are in a different color, this means that that same car has done previous violation. Can you please move to the presentation? So next, please. So next, as you can see, the solution do evidence collection. In one click, you can have a report. Next. You can get a report automatically generated. It's powered by AI. You can do automatic report and debriefing, data recording and replay. Next. So our solution, as I said, it integrates various kinds of sensors, ADS-B, multiple kind of radars, multiple kind of sensors, long-range cameras. Also, it's worth mentioning that we integrate, like my Morten will be discussing, some technologies that will detect a drone using some other technologies. This also could be integrated along with our solution to have a very comprehensive system that integrate various sensors. And it's worth mentioning, My Defense is one of the companies that we collaborate with. Next, please. So as I mentioned, we can integrate also with anti-drone systems, effectors. So again, we discussed with you about, because airport is a very difficult environment for effector, that's something that need to be discussed on a case-by-case basis. Next, please. We can also integrate and control drones. So if you have a location where you don't have cameras, we can deploy, we can fly actually the drone to take it and to track any target. Next, please. So how our concept of drone solution work? So first, we take the radar data. The radar data will give you a complete picture, everything that is flying. Then we employ artificial intelligence on that. So that artificial intelligence will be able to classify drone from a non-drone. We also integrate various kind of sensors like RF. And if we fuse that, so if the drone is the radar detect a drone and the RF is also detecting the same drone, the operator will get all the information collected by all the sensors summarized on one track. And then in case there is any cross any no-fly zone area, the system will be controlling the camera pointing toward the drone. So you will be able to have visual verification, and there we can also do further classification on that specific drone. Next, please. So just to tell you, it's not easy task when we say we do classification. The first picture show you all the flying targets. This could be flying object, this could be birds. All this is being detected. And then, of course, the next screen is after we employ the AI and only we filter the drones out of all this. Next, please. Next. Yep. Our solution is installed in Odense Airport, and we will be more than happy if you have any requirement, if you'd like to have a demonstration, fly a specific drone, we are more than happy to host you and be able to demonstrate the solution. Next. Thank you so much. If you have any question, I will be happy to answer it at the end. Thank you. I think.
Thank you, Slabi. Now I just give the second question of the poll, and we will go with Morten.
Thank you, guys. Thank you for showing up. So my name is Morten. I'm from MyDefense. I'm now the CCO of our US subsidiary company. As you can see, we are based in Denmark. We have an office and R&D and production in Denmark. We have an R&D office in Ukraine, and we have the sales office here in an HQ in US, here in Florida. And in Oklahoma City, we have our R&D and production facility in the US. Next slide, please. So MyDefense is primarily military-based company. We do mission-driven innovation. Basically, right now we have the R&D office in Ukraine, and we have about 2,500 to 3,000 systems fielded in Ukraine, being operated on a daily basis. So there's a lot of lessons learned in kind of drone and innovations. So setting up an office in Ukraine give us the leverage of getting the live experiences from the end user, and how do we detect that and how do we combat that? And that is there's a spillover from this until our more civilian applications, like an airport, for example. And it goes back to what Brandon was talking about with the clueless, careless, criminal actors. This will be more of the criminal actors case. For example, prisons, where we see drones flying over, dropping tennis balls with cocaine in them, stuff like that. And we also do the clueless, careless stuff. If the pilot that's more of the clueless one, he would have remote ID, and we can pick that up, and that's a pretty easy way for us to determine who is it, where is he, and what can we do about it. On the other hand, the criminal guy would turn that off. He doesn't have any interest in us knowing who he is, where he is. Next slide, please. So this is a video explaining our technology. And our technology base is RF engineering. Basically, all our sensors can do the same thing in different levels. We go from wearable to a vehicle to a fixed setup, like an airport. But play the video. What you saw there is the wearable detector. And this highlights the speed of innovation within the drones. So it's a cat and mouse game. Who is faster to come up with innovative solutions on how to use drones, and we come up with innovative solution on how to combat those drones. How do we detect drones that don't want to be detected? And we've seen a surge of the fiber optic drones flying in Ukraine. And we were a little bit concerned about how would we combat those? And what we saw is they're going away from that again, because they get caught in trees. And when the fiber optic lands, you can put a light to the other side of it and figure out exactly where the drone originates from. And that's not very productive in a warfare situation. Next slide, please. So as I mentioned before, our sensors is RF based. We have detection and mitigation piece to it. So detection piece, do detections, we can do it with remote ID, but also with a spectrum analyzer. So inside every device, there's a spectrum analyzer going from 40 megahertz all the way up to 6 gigahertz. We typically, before, we just focused on the ISM bands, but now we see a lot of the drones is flying outside the ISM bands in off frequencies, 845 megahertz, 900 megahertz, and all frequencies. For us to be able to detect that, we need to open up the spectrum analyzer, have an AI put into it. So basically, the system is heavily relying on the library. So all the drones we know is put in the library, so we know what we're detecting. So we know what we're detecting. And then the ML comes in. Our AI on the library side is heavily focused on machine learning. So basically, when we see a signal like that, we don't know it, but we know the behavior of a drone. So we can combine those two things, and the system, the more it's being used, knows the drone, so we automatically put that into the library. So when the customer buys our sensor, and the more he uses it, the better it gets. The bigger the library gets, the bigger the false detections, the lower those gets. And the combination of AI, library, and RF is pretty powerful in that sense. But we also full aware that we are part, when we talk about fixed site-based protection, airport protection, we are part of a bigger system. So RF is not an end-all be-all. We need radars, cameras, other stuff to be a complete system. That's where Terma comes in. And we have the Terma radars integrated into our system, and we have I believe, all our sensors integrated into Terma system. So we work both ways, and that's great. It's a great relationship. This is just some short stats of the company. We are about 93 employees. We have 4 offices in Denmark, Ukraine, and US. We have over 100 customers worldwide. We've delivered more than 4,000 systems. The rest is not relevant. Next slide, please. These are some of our reference customers, primarily military and law enforcement, and not relevant for you guys. So next slide, please. So this is what we do. We do wearable anti-drone devices with an RF base. We can put them on vehicles. We can put them in an airport. And all of these have the same base technology. So the way we do detections, the way we do spectral analyzing is the same. Different sensors have different antennas and by that different ranges. So from the wearable device, we can detect drones out to about 4 kilometers. And it doesn't matter the size of the drone because we look at the radio frequency of that drone. The vehicle system can detect a drone out to 10 kilometers while on the move. So it doesn't have to be stationary, put out sensors. The sensors are active while the vehicle is moving. The perimeter side, we can go up to 10 kilometers as well in detection. And we have the mitigation piece also, so we can mitigate. And the way we do that is different to what most of our competitors do. As soon as you detect a drone, if you turn on the barrage jammer, you jam all the frequencies at all time. So you're sure you're going to hit the drone, but you're also going to hit your own systems as well, your own GPS systems, your own communication systems, your Wi-Fi. Everything's going to be affected if you turn on a barrage jammer. But with our system, because we listen to what frequencies are being used by the drone with the spectrum analyzer, that signal is being sent to our mitigation piece saying, jam only this frequency. And we are very, very narrow in the way we do jamming. So we hit only that frequency and not go onto other frequencies. And now we have frequency hopping drones. We have a secret sauce that we kind of know those patterns. So we can follow those patterns in our jamming or mitigation. And that makes us quite unique. So instead of having a big, powerful jammer just barrage everything out, we are pretty precise and surgical in our jamming and quite effective. And that goes from the wearable to the vehicle to the perimeter solution jammer. It's the same way it functions: detection, understanding, putting into mitigation. We have different hard kill solutions as well. That's like Brandon mentioned, the balls. We have a 40 millimeter grenade that shoots up and make an airburst. And that airburst kind of puts out aluminum foil, small aluminum foil that sucks into the engine of the drone and shortens out the engine so it falls down. So there's a variety of different solutions we can have it as an add-on, depending on what your needs would be. And next slide, please. That's another video. This is a short explainer video on how our system works, how the operator would use the system. So basically, tracking drones. So we don't have a limit onto how many drones can be detected. The screen might be cluttered because there's super high detection, but you also have a list on the right side saying this is how many drones are active in the air right now. And another option with RF, we can detect the drone, but we can also detect the pilot. So let's say you have an airport, we have the same drone interfering with your airspace. You have an option to figure out and locate the pilot and actually go and arrest the pilot and take him to custody or whatever you want to do. But that gives you an option, then he's not going to send out any more drones. If you just keep jamming the drone's going to come back and come back and come back. If you can make an example of the pilot, that might not be another drone from that guy at least. This is our fixed site. It's 360-degree detection. It takes about 10 minutes to deploy it, or you can set it up as fixed and have it permanent. It's IP67, so it can take, I guess, all the weather you have in Colombia. This is how the system can function together. So you have the base, you have the deployed soldiers and a vehicle. So you can put it on a vehicle surrounding the airport, like a patrol vehicle. And you can, if you have guards around the airport, they can be equipped, and all these systems talk together. Our mainborne devices are connected into a software called ATAC or SIFTAC that can be integrated into a Terma system if that's needed. So everything will be speaking to each other. So only one system with multiple different sensors and different ways of deploying system can you make it more effective. We have FATSI2 and Sapient compatible as well. Yeah, next slide, please. So this is the soldier kit I've been talking about, where you have a detector and mitigation in front of the soldier or the security guard or whoever wears it. And with this, if you have security people walking around with this kit, you have the sensor moving around, doing different detection and avoiding any blind spots. So this combination with the Terma system, with for example, a Wolfpack detection 360 degree and the radar and a camera system, now you have the layered approach. So each sensor type can validate what the other sensor is seeing. So if there's a bird, that's not going to be in radio signals. So we can validate each other, and I think that would be the best approach and typically what we see. My defense, typically we don't deliver a bigger system like this. We kind of deliver to Terma and they deliver the bigger system. So we're going to be a sub-supplier. That's the role we typically take. Next slide, please. Next slide. So with our vehicle solution, you can see we're pretty heavily military based. I think 98% of our market is military, but we do have a small segment that takes care of the commercial or critical infrastructure sites. So we can be fully integrated, like you see here, where we fit into the vehicle. Next slide, please. Or we can be like a quick fit on this system on the top. You can see on the green vehicle, that takes about 10 minutes to be fitted to the vehicle. So it could be taken off and fitted onto another vehicle if needed. It's super easy to work with, and it's made easy on purpose. The same with the wearable kits. It's just there's two knobs. You just twist two knobs, and then you're good to go. Everything works automatically. You don't have to do anything by yourself. Everything's running inside the sensor, so you don't have to do a lot. Next slide, please. Next slide. Yep. So this is when we do a fixed site setup. You can see the top one. We have our 360-degree Wolfpack detector on top. Below that, the smaller boxes are the effectors, the mitigation or jamming. And those two pieces talk to each other, so we know what's being detected and we know what to jam. Then we have a different radar system. This instance, I believe, is EchoGuard. There's multiple different radar systems. We don't care who we integrate into, and we don't care who's are the other pieces of the system. We work with whatever works. We have multiple locations around the globe. A lot of these locations we can't disclose due to the military side of our business, but we have portable fixed site setups also. Next slide, please. And blind spot is a big thing, and I have to say all the RF detectors are completely passive. They don't emit any signals. So if you put these up here, you would not interfere with anything. It's completely passive. And if you have any, like you set up a central point or a single point or a different point in the airport, there's always going to be buildings obstructing your field of view. And if you have blind spots, we have the option to put, you see the little black guy over here on the right side. We could put those up on buildings on the other side to create another sensor to that blind spot. So we can eliminate blind spots in the entire airport and the perimeter of the airport as well. Next slide, please. Yeah, I'm talking about this. So next slide. So this is basically what we do. We do airports, border patrol, corporate, corrections, government, critical infrastructure, law enforcement, military, and public safety. But military is 98% of what we do. The rest is the 2%. So in this case, for example, we will be highly reliant on Termin's experience and expertise. So next slide, please. So that all the next slides is just going to be very, very product specific. So I don't want to bore you with all our specific sensor types. Just letting you know if there's any RF, we will be the best choice for it. Thank you. That's all for me.
Thank you, Martin. I will put the last question from the pool and give a couple of minutes. I don't know, Andrea, if you want to have a close-up, wrap up. We don't have any questions right now. As I always said, please send us your questions to info@ACI-LAC Aero. And we will send it to the speakers and Maria Andrea for her to help us with the answers.
Now, just to thank you all for being part of today's webinar. A special thanks to our speakers for sharing their valuable experience. And we hope this session was insightful and engaging. Thank you, Carla, and thank you, ACI-LAC, for giving us the chance to do this webinar.
Thank you. So see you in our next webinar, and thanks to Maria and our speakers for this valuable information you have gave us today. And again, if you have any questions, please send it to us and we will follow up with the speakers. Have a great day and see you in our next webinar. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.